Welcome everyone who joined. Very glad to have you with us today. Um, my name is Dylan Terry. I'm with Hatch Blue. Um, the
Dylan,
very
did you
happy to
start
be.
the recording?
The recording has started. Yes,
Okay,
recording
great.
is on. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. Um, Joined here today by Beth Orcutt and Wayne Murphy, who will both do their introductions in a short couple minutes. So thanks everyone to joining. The purpose of today's session is to give you all a better sense of the Maine Blue Biotech program, answer your questions, give you an insight into what it is that we're building here. So hopefully you all leave today with a deeper understanding of what this is, and if maybe some of you are on the fence about applying or joining us, hopefully this is what you need to hear to get you excited by a project that Wayne, Beth, and I are certainly very excited by. Um, so a little bit of housekeeping before we jump in. We are looking to keep this hopefully about 45 minutes, but let's see how that goes. We're going to start off with a brief presentation to give you an overview of what this is. We'll look to keep that to around 20 to 30 minutes and leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So if anyone has specific questions about the program, about their technology, and is it relevant for the program, please use the Q&A chat. You'll find that at the bottom of the Zoom link here. Um, so yeah, with that, I will jump into the presentation. One second. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're here to talk about the Maine Blue Biotech Studio and Summit. This is an interactive webinar, so as I said, get your questions ready. Let us know what's on your mind. Um, the first thing we'll do is introduce everyone here in the room. As I said myself, my name is Dylan Terry. I am the Director of Innovation Studios at Hatch Blue. I'm from Ireland originally, if you can probably tell that, although I live in sunny Barcelona, as Wayne was referring to earlier. My role at Hatch Blue is to manage our global innovation programs. So that means each year, working in countries like Ireland, the US, Mexico, Tanzania, working with entrepreneurs that are building solutions across blue biotech, aquaculture, blue carbon, that marine space in general. So yeah, really excited by this particular space that we're looking at, and I can't wait to get to Maine to start working with the companies in the program. With that, I'll hand it over to Beth.
Hey everyone, I'm Beth Orcutt. I'm the Vice President for Research at the Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Sciences. I'm a deep sea microbiologist by background, and I'm really excited for this Blue Biotech Innovation Studio and Summit that we're partnering on with Hatch and funded by the Maine Technology Institute. So my role in this is really to help interface teams with any of the assets, either at Bigelow or in Maine, if you're considering using raw materials from Maine or need access to facilities in Maine for any of the ideas that you're working on. Not a requirement that you do anything in Maine to be part of this, but if you want to, we are happy to connect you. So that's my role. And Wayne, turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Beth. Hello, everybody. You're very welcome to this webinar on a subject which I think is a future sector filled with opportunity. My name is Wayne Murphy. I'm one of the original founders of Hatch Blue. I've spent the last feels like 100 years now working in developing, supporting, scaling, and investing in early stage startup companies. But also in the last 8 years since Hatch was founded, I've overseen all of Hatch's global accelerator and innovation programs with a very dedicated and talented team that kind of seeks to support, find, unearth great talent out there to fix many of the challenges out there through innovation. So I'm very excited to be developing this project in Maine, focused on blue biotech, and excited to see what kind of companies we get to pick and select for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Wayne. and Beth, much apprecited. Wayne, back over to you, if you don't mind, to give an overview of Hatch Blue for
Sure.
everyone on the call.
Sure. We've grown from three founders to, I think, the guts of 40 people now, covering investment, our program related activities, which is what this program is directly under. And we also have a very dedicated, very deep domain experts around consultancy in the blue economy. So our role really is, we want to drive change and innovation in the blue space through investment, through knowledge, and through ecosystem building. And I think the combination of all our inputs, we're a very passionate group of people who want to drive change and opportunity for the good of the planet, but also for the health of the oceans. There are lots of challenges out there in this sector, and we like to feel that we play a part in, again, supporting those ideas that have the greatest potential to have the impact we all wanted to have. We've raised over $130 million, which we are investing in a host of different stages in terms of companies involved in global aquaculture, blue carbon, and many impact related activities. And this blue biotech space is something that we're very interested in, and delighted for this to be the world's first blue biotech program that we've looking to support in partnership with Bigelow and our other partners. So excited to bring our expertise to this space, but also helping companies build a business, which fundamentally is what we want to try and achieve to realize the success and that's potential for these companies that will be working with us in Maine in March.
Great.
Thanks, Wayne.
And I'll jump in here and give you a little bit of background about the host organization, Bigelow Laboratory for Ocean Sciences. We're based on the coast of Maine, a beautiful place to do science. And our researchers are really experts in algae, in marine microbes, in thinking about the health of ecosystems and how ocean health can really be amplified and accelerated, and new solutions can be brought to things like aquaculture and seafood and fisheries. And so by having this innovation studio at our campus, we'll not only be bringing the investors and mentors that Wayne was talking about, but also giving you exposure to some of that leading cutting edge science, and the possibility to connect with our scientists. And I'll make sure to put some links to information about Bigelow in the materials in just a moment. Dylan, am I up next for the next slide?
Yes, you are, Beth. But just one thing, another housekeeping as more people join. Just a reminder, we'll be doing a short presentation here, hopefully between 20 and 30 minutes, followed by Q&A. So if there's any questions that come up as we speak, get your questions into the Q&A box. Thanks, Beth. Back over to you.
Great. Okay, so in case blue biotech isn't something you think about as a phrase, we want to also help define it, so that you can help understand kind of where your ideas might fit in this. So really, it's the concept of using marine resources, whether they're algae, microalgae, macroalgae like kelp, fishery byproduct materials, materials coming from marine microbes, any of those things as resources that are used to develop new products or processes or services. So things like nutraceuticals, pet food, biomaterials, all of those things would fall under this blue biotech umbrella. And we're really excited about this here in Maine because Maine is really leading on blue economy efforts very broadly. Everything that has to do with the oceans, blue biotech is a subset of that, as well as the connectivity we have with life sciences and the development and understanding of how new knowledge about how organisms function, their genetics, et cetera. Blue biotech really sits at that fun interface between life sciences and blue economy efforts. Next slide, please, Dylan. Some of these numbers come from a report that was put together for the World Bank in partnership with HatchBlue, looking at some of these different sectors under Blue Biotech. So whether it's developing new pharmaceuticals or nutraceuticals and wellness products, using marine resources as biostimulants and fertilizers for agriculture, using them as supplements for feed for agriculture and aquaculture, also pet food. Um, this report went in and looked at how are these different sectors growing, what's their size, and in particular, what's the opportunity for this sector to grow specifically from marine resources within the next year, really, in 2027. These are the projected numbers, and obviously future years that would grow even more. So these are some of the categories we're looking for companies that are developing new biomaterials, looking at things like alternative proteins, thinking about using marine resources for pet food and pet supplements, etc. It's very broad. Lots of things fall under this basket. Um, Things that aren't blue biotech are things, for instance, that you design and put in the ocean. That's more like blue tech, right? This is really taking advantage of the novelty of marine resources and using them to make new products on land, essentially. Next slide, please, Dylan.
Thanks, Beth.
Um, so as part of the effort with Bigelow and HatchBlue, we over the summer did an ecosystem assessment of why should Maine be a place that people want to come to innovate? What does Maine have to offer? And we put together an ecosystem assessment report. I'll put the link in the chat or the Q&A in a moment. But essentially, this report addressed that there are lots of resources in Maine that can be used to create new products. We have growing aquaculture, both for shellfish. We have finfish fisheries as well. Seaweed aquaculture is growing. We have this amazing collection, the world's most genetically diverse collection of algae based at Bigelow Laboratory. We have expertise in marine microbes. There's so much to take advantage of. We're centrally located near shipping hubs connected to Boston's biotech ecosystem. So there's really a lot of ripe opportunity right now for expanding Blue Biotech here in New England and connecting to kind of that North Atlantic corridor, connectivity to Europe and the markets there, et cetera. So that's why we worked with the Maine Technology Institute to get funding to launch this innovation studio in partnership with Hatch. Next slide, please, Dylan. Great. So again, thinking about what are some of those resources that we are looking for companies that are innovating with. Maybe you're using byproducts from finfish aquaculture, shellfish aquaculture, seaweed aquaculture, or wild harvest. There's byproducts from wild harvest from all of those things as well as microalgae. We have 3,800 different strains in our culture collection, each of which make new compounds and provide different services. There's also novel genetic material that can be found in the uncultivated marine microbes. We have a cultivated collection or a curated collection, sorry, of single cell genomes and other genomic information from marine microbes. There's so much to tap into here in Maine. And we're looking for companies that are innovating, making new aquaculture feeds, feed additives, thinking about using these products for fertilizers and biostimulants, coming up with new biomaterials and alternative plastics. Maybe you're developing wellness products or pharmaceutical products. Maybe you're thinking about biofuels. There's so many things that can be created from these resources. And it's really a wide umbrella that we're looking for companies and innovators to come to this studio and learn from the experts. So I think that's my last slide, and I'm going to turn it over now, I think, to Dylan.
Thank you, Beth. So I'm going to talk a bit more about what the Blue Biotech Studio is in general. So as Wayne alluded to earlier, um, our primary or one of our primary roles that we do at Hatch Blue programs is to support companies, to support entrepreneurs that are building their startups. And this program is specifically focused on companies that are working on the areas that Beth just spoke about there. What we'll be doing is giving founders like real tangible access to lab and research support, a deep network of people from the investment community, as well as regional industry, as well as people who've built and scaled and sold product before in these industries. And the goal is quite simple, as it says here, is like we want to help teams in this space to validate their applications, raise capital, and really build and scale their businesses. This program, I would say, is less, and Wayne will talk about this later, but it's probably less relevant for super early stage teams. What we're trying to do here is to accelerate and scale and grow teams that have existing solutions either in the market already or looking to access markets. There'll be a big component of investment as well in this program, bringing in a network of relevant investors that can help you think through your investment strategy, your investment readiness, and hopefully introduce you to relevant investors for your business. The Logistically, the program kicks off March 9th in Bigelow Labs with an intensive 2-week program hosted at Bigelow Labs. We will be working very intensely for those 2 weeks with all of the teams selected, bringing in a lot of the expertise and knowledge in Hatch Blue, as well as, of course, in Bigelow, to support teams around their technology, their commercial direction, their scaling and fundraising strategy. At Hatch Blue, we've invested in, I believe, over 70 companies now globally, many of them developing solutions in this blue biotech space. So we've built up a bit of a knowledge, a bit of a know-how on some companies that have done that well, and we hope to bring some of those learnings to emerging teams in the space. So by the end of the studio, we hope that founders will leave with a much clearer direction on the application of their technology and the potential target market. Um, some validated technical and commercial assumptions about where they're going, and just a sharper path towards some of those investors, pilots, and partners. I think Maine is at this, as Beth touched upon, Maine is in this really unique place in the US with abundant marine resources. I believe more water access or more coastline than California, I believe. Was also being like very close to Boston and the whole life sciences sector there. So I think it's a really, really strong opportunity for teams to tap into that whole region and some of the expertise and knowledge there. Um, So this is not just a 2-week program. The 2-week innovation studio in Maine is just the starting point. So post the 2-week program, each team will be paired with a number of dedicated advisors and entrepreneur in residence that have specific expertise and knowledge around their specific product or their specific markets. Um, we want to support teams on an ongoing basis so that they continue to deliver on some of those goals and really build momentum towards some of those milestones that we agree on and that we set through the program. So from a logistics perspective, it's intensive 2 weeks in Bigelow Laboratories to start, followed by an ongoing mentorship and guidance done kind of virtually with specific dedicated advisors. Um, and all of this, of course, free of charge and supported very generously by the Maine Technology Center. So I think it's a really good opportunity for companies in this space. Um, I'm going to pass it back over to Beth because I think one of the keystone parts of this is the final day of the program, and Beth is going to talk to that now. So over to you, Beth.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, so the teams that are participating in our studio will have an opportunity to pitch your ideas to a community of investors and ecosystem supporters at the North Atlantic Blue Biotech Summit that'll happen on March 19th in Portland, Maine. We'll be sending out save the date information for that very soon. The day will feature, you know, high level views of where Blue Biotech is going, examples of mergers and acquisitions and great exits from some example companies, the view of investors and other funders and perspectives of founders and people who have been able to make those transactions and grow funds to support their work. So this won't be a closed opportunity for the studio participants. We'll also welcome other founders to pitch, but it'll really be a curated way for you to get exposure to investors that are looking to fund in these areas, and some real one-on-one networking opportunities supported by the mentors that will be working with you. And you'll get a chance to be in Portland, Maine, which is a very fun town, great foodie town, lots going on, and ability to connect other people in the ecosystem. So stay tuned for more information about that, but that'll really be the kind of climax event for the studio, is participating in the summit. Next slide.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. Now I'm going to hand it over to Wayne to talk about some of the details around the program itself. And Wayne has been involved in running many programs globally, so I think he's got a good perspective to share here on what it is you can expect as a founder joining. So over to you, Wayne.
Thanks, Dylan and Beth. I think maybe just very quickly in terms of brief background, it's by the time this program comes or commences, it'll be a year since Tanya, who leads our Hatch Blue consulting team, and I visited Maine with a view to exploring opportunities for, given its location and its reputation around the marine environment, we felt that there was an opportunity. And within, I think, 3 or 4 hours, we very clearly saw that this blue biotech space, Maine was to be the home for this. And in building these programs, one of the key things that we seek to do is work with partners who can really add value, are as ambitious and passionate about creating these opportunities as we are. And certainly in Bigelow and all the partners involved, we received a tremendous feedback in terms of getting this program on, attracting real talent to this sector, and really developing Maine as a location for innovation and excellence in this sector, given the undoubted opportunity that it has. So that was a critical part of our decision to do this. And, we've been doing these innovation type studios for the last 8 years. We've delivered almost, by the time this program comes around, it'll be 30 global studios involving over 270 to 300 companies. So we've lots of learning, lots of knowledge, lots of network, lots of understanding of the challenge in building and scaling a business, certainly in global aquaculture, but also in this biotech space. And I think what we've worked on and iterated constantly is on building a program where we feel we can add that real value, that difference in terms of what companies need to be able to ensure that very fine line between failure and success, that you get the tools, the learning, the network, the know-how to be able to reduce those failures and hopefully increase more successes. So we've a well-worn process and structure to hopefully support and provide a space where people developing these ideas and these products and these companies can hopefully step out of the program and really scale up by being surrounded by a whole new network of supporters, knowledge, expertise, and that investment community also, which is very important in terms of scaling a business. So the program, as I say, is a proven process. It'll be limited in this case to 10 teams. As Dylan said, it's not just about the program, which is 2 weeks. in Maine, there's a process of post-program development, and I suggest that that is as equally important as the 2 weeks that you'll spend in Maine. And that guidance and support over those 9 months will hopefully involve you being connected to that wider network, you getting feedback from experts that have made the mistakes that you haven't made yet, and hopefully can pass on those pearls of wisdom to help you navigate what is a very difficult process of building a successful blue biotech business, or indeed any business. You'll certainly be able to dig into Hatch's global experience around investing in the blue economy, um, how to position yourselves, how to talk about your company, and hopefully how to, use certain insights that we've developed over time, having invested in 80 companies and worked with over 300 companies, and seeing their fundraising successes. I hope you'll be able to pass on a lot of that knowledge and expertise and know-how to help you up your game in terms of how you're going to scale your company going forward. Again, on the one-to-one piece, this program, as I said, is we're creating a space for you to engage with people who have a lot of knowledge and expertise, that you can ask the kind of questions that maybe you haven't been able to find the answer from before. And those people will be across the biotech space, aquaculture, but really leaders in the blue economy. And we're hoping that you're going to be, it's like, sucking from a fire hose, as they say. There's going to be lots of data, information, knowledge, thoughts on how you and your business can get to where it needs to be. I see a question in the Q&A already about, your technical people and how they can be supported. I think certainly accessing Beth and her team at Bigelow in terms of their renowned R&D experience and research assets, I think that is a game changer, and one of the reasons why, as I said earlier, partnership is really key in building these programs, that you have entities, mentors, experts that can really add value to you, your ideas, and your challenges to get you through that. Certainly, those early stage challenges. We'll also expose you to, a lot of investors and industry stakeholders. It's all about, the old saying is not what you know, it's who you know. And I think that Blue Biotech Investor Summit is going to be a wonderful opportunity and a platform for you to, share more about you, your company, your team, your technology, your investment needs. I'm really looking forward to that particular event, where a number of our companies from this Blue Biotech Studio will be selected to present to that audience. Really cool, and again, to the generous support of Bigelow and the Maine Institute, your involvement in this program is fully funded in terms of flights, accommodation, and daily nourishment. There is no equity involved in this. You might ask, why isn't Hatch or Bigelow looking to take a stake in you or the company selected? We just want to see more and more great ideas and technologies getting to market. There's plenty of time to assess them in terms of investing in them later. But the global blue economy needs more innovation, more smart people looking at the challenges in the space. And both ourselves and Bigelow and Maine, of course, has declared its ambition that it wants to, be part of developing those next generation technologies. And as I said, all expenses are covered throughout the program. So we know the brief, we know what we need to do. We've got the people in place to help add value to you and your team, and excited to see how that manifests itself. Next slide, please, Dylan.
Thanks, Wayne. And just a reminder for everyone, we'll be wrapping up in the next couple of minutes. So get your questions in the Q&A if there's anything here that is unclear. Thanks, Wayne.
So the question, no worries. So the question is, you see what the program is all about. It's a 2-week, 10-day program of various inputs and mentor sessions. But what are we looking for, and who are we looking for? I guess for me and for you out there is a really important question. What we are looking for is, this is a global program. We're looking for global talent. They could be research spinouts, ideally with a proof of concept. I see some of the questions, asking at what stage. and you're seeking commercial pathways. And I think one of the biggest piece of experience that we as Hatch have is understanding what it takes to scale a business and commercially develop the program. So I think there's lots of support and input there to be had. Preparing companies for investment, those looking to raise money or those looking to, for validation around the technology. There are certainly, supports and networks and connections that we can accelerate those that development of, your investment and technical validation. And we're also looking for those companies who are established and who are already exploring the blue biotech space and looking to extend their network and explore new partnerships and collaborations. So 10 companies. We've already had quite a number of really cool applications for the program, and the selection process will be based on our estimation of companies that meet the criteria, but also have that scalable, high potential opportunity to make a difference. In terms of those who will be joining, the application should have at least one dedicated founder, the CEO ideally, or two founders. It is all about changing the direction of your business. We don't want a junior lab assistant attending the program and going back and talking to the founders about how they can change the business. That's not going to work. This is a top-down approach. And that from our experience, it's ideally the leaders of the organization who will benefit from the program and hopefully ultimately drive that success. Ideally, the application and your company should have a validated concept or an MVP already developed, and obviously a clear potential for scalability. I hope that's very clear in terms of what we're looking for. Next slide, please, Dylan. Why join? I think, as I said at the very outset, we are developing a space and providing an opportunity for teams to meet all they need to meet, learn as much as they need to learn in terms of getting their businesses to the next stage and beyond. Maybe it's through potential investment and intros through our investor network, which we will bring to the table. It's accessing people in Hatch Blue and other industry leaders who have been through this process before, supporting, scaling, and accelerating blue talent out there. Of course, learning how to articulate your investment proposition, your company, your technology is a real skill that is necessary. And, getting that pitch and investor readiness support, I think, is a key part of any commercial startup or scale up looking to succeed. Obviously, network access to the Maine marine resource and connecting to that ecosystem. Both Tanya and I and the Hatch Blue team have been amazingly impressed with just the range of supports that are there in Maine. I think it's a very fertile ground and opportunity for anybody looking to build a business to plug into that system. And I'm excited to see, again, what kind of companies are going to be involved in experiencing that. The opportunity to pitch at the Blue Biotech Investor Summit, again, it's a platform for you and your organization to really talk to what would hopefully be a very engaged, a very influential audience that can maybe, change the direction and opportunity for your company. And also, the support with any company formation strategy, IP, fundraising. These are all key ingredients, whether you're selling pet foods or you're selling, algae and feed. It doesn't really matter what you're selling. At the end of the day, you need to have a very sound strategy, commercial focus, IP covered, and a commercial track. And we can provide lots of that support, given our 8 years and more of experience in scaling blue companies. And then, of course, access to a global network. If you ever get the chance to look at Hatch's global map of activities, we are pretty much all over the world, engaging in different networks. And, part of our process and support for you will be to get you maybe increase your market intelligence, understand your competitive landscape, and ultimately, give you the best chance of succeeding. I hope that's enough reasons why you should join the program. And the final slide, Dylan.
Yeah, I think we might jump into Q&A here soon. Yeah, anything else you want to wrap up there with, Wayne, before we jump
Yeah,
in?
again, kind of these points are already mentioned earlier, but um, really encourage you. The deadline's the 23rd of January. As I said, we've already had some amazing applications, but it could be you. And if you feel this is something that your business needs, where you're lacking potentially, and you want to tap into new resources, new networks, new opportunities for investment, certainly this is a really good place to be in Maine in March. So looking forward to your applications and any questions that you may have.
Perfect. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Beth. I'm gonna stop sharing now so people can see us as we answer some of the questions that came in, and I'm also going to share the application link in the chat in just a moment as well if anyone wants that link. Let me start with some of the questions. Um, Michael asked, maybe this is a question for you, Beth, to start off with. One of our biggest constraints right now is technical execution. We don't currently have a dedicated technical lead in place for teams in that position. How does the program help identify, attract, or engage people who can actually carry the lab and R&D work forward? Anything you want to say to that, Beth?
Yeah. So the participants in the studio, right? Yeah, the mentoring will really be focused on, the business case for your idea that you want to commercialize. But there will be opportunities to, for instance, meet with some of our technical experts, depending on the teams and what kind of expertise that you're looking for. The links that Dylan put in the chat earlier can give you a little bit of exposure to some of the resources we can offer, right? So connecting you with experts on algae, connecting you with experts on chemical analyses, connecting you with experts on genomic analyses. So um, Michael, to answer some of your questions, there may be opportunities to connect either with experts at Bigelow or others in our ecosystem that can help with some of that technical advising. That'll kind of be on the side of the studio. It won't be a major focus of the studio. But we'll definitely make sure that there's opportunities to make those connections and offer that. For teams that actually want to take advantage of the incubator space and all of the assets and the technical work at Bigelow, maybe that comes after the studio. We can make space available for teams to work with us after the studio, as well as other resources in the state that might be able to assist with physical space, technical expertise, etc. So we'll try to do that matchmaking for the teams that join.
Thanks, Beth. Um, I'm going to put you back in the spot again, Beth. So maybe don't mute yourself. But we have a question here from Alan McGonigal, who's under Dan Berger's name, but it's
Yeah.
not Dan. It's Alan from Carbon Wave. So, how would you evaluate participation of an organization that focuses on biomaterials from seaweed that aren't possible to grow in Maine? Carbon Wave works with sargassum, seaweed from the Caribbean.
Yeah, so there's not an exclusivity to the teams that are joining based on the resources that you're using. So if you are working with a species that doesn't grow in Maine, that's fine. That's great. We will make sure to connect you with experts that can give you the relevant advice. Again, either from in-house or our collaborative network to help you think about that opportunity. So please don't restrict yourself if you're working with a tropical species. That's totally fine. And we'll try to support that depending on the teams that get invited to the studio.
Thanks, Beth. Um, Wayne, maybe you could answer this one. There's a couple of questions coming in here around stage of company. So Felista asked around, I'm a researcher working on marine biotech ideas with commercial potential, but I don't yet have a product on the market. Is this program suitable for early stage scientists like me who are still in the planning phase?
Good question and a regular question. I would suggest probably not. This is about building commercial opportunity and scaling a business that already has an idea. Ideally, that's the sweet spot. I do think, however, the Blue Bio Summit to engage with the network of investors to, if you're at that very early stage or even pre, MVP, you need to start hustling already, right? You need to be connecting with the right people, talking to the right, potential funders in the future. It is all about building those really key relationships as you develop your technology, maybe start building a team in the future. You need to start doing that work now. If I'm being perfectly honest, in the studio, somebody just thinking about something is not enough for us to work with, given the focus and direction and outputs that we're seeking to achieve in this particular program. But I would certainly encourage you to engage with this network, follow the work that we're doing. Certainly, if you can get to Portland, Maine on the 19th of March, be there, meet the people, talk to the people you're going to be working with in 1, 2, 3 years, maybe when you get when your technology gets to see the light of day.
Mhm.
But you need to start hustling, even though the program may not be relevant for you. Would be my suggestion.
Thanks, Wayne. And just to add there, if there's any people on the call who are in that bucket who are too early for this program, please feel free to connect with myself on LinkedIn or send me an email, dylan.terry at hatch.blue, and I'm happy to share the details around the summit or kind of other ways to get you involved as we look to continue to build and grow this blue biotech space. So please do still reach out and connect, even if it's not for this opportunity. Um, Beth, I think back to you. We've had a couple of questions around the access to resources and lab space at Bigelow, around, is there room for actual experimental work? How much time is available? Can we use materials and equipment on site? Maybe just talk more about that access to Bigelow from your side.
Yeah, happy to. Um, uh, so again, there's some resources in the chat, and we'll make sure that they're also available in the webinar recording. Bigelow does have like incubator space, so companies who would like to kind of rent space and have access to our laboratory facilities, we have a pathway for that. There's also, we have a variety of analytical services that our technical experts can provide, from doing chemical analyses to genomic analyses to connecting you to like how to grow algae. And so those are things we can provide as a service. During the studio, there probably won't be much time for for experimental work. For example, I wouldn't encourage you to like come with equipment that you want to set up to do experiments. The focus of the studio is really to connect you with business, investor mentoring, right? How to get your idea commercialized and scaled. Um, so during the studio, there'll be time to kind of talk with technical experts and think about what technical validation do you still need to be commercial and to figure out the scaling, and kind of come up with a plan for after the studio. But I wouldn't expect to do much hands-on technical work during the studio. It's really meant to focus on the business development side of your commercialization plan. But to answer the question, yes, we have a lot of technical assets that can be used for companies that would like to, but that would occur kind of outside of the studio. And I'm happy to answer further questions about that. I'll put my email in the chat. You're welcome to contact me if you'd like more, what kind of HPLCs do you have? Like, I can give you all the technical details.
Nice. Thank you, Beth. Wayne, maybe you could talk about, I'm sure there's some people on this call who are thinking about submitting an application. You've reviewed many applications over the years for people trying to get involved in this work. What makes a good application for you? What stands out when you read an application? Talk about that a bit.
Yeah, some have made me smile, some have made me giddy with excitement, and some have made me cry over a long period of time. But I think clarity of focus. We get a lot of companies applying to things, and they think the strength that they have is they're doing lots of different things, and focusing on lots of different areas. And we've got problem solve solutions for lots of different problems. That to me cries dilution of focus, and a lack of opportunity to really scale quickly when you're focused on too many different things. Being good at one thing is awesome. And I think that certainly comes through on some applications when they know exactly what they're working on. They understand the problem. They're creating a solution for a need that's clearly been identified, and they're not making something that they think people want. It's based on lots of research, lots of market validation, lots of talking to customers. When we see that clearly on an application, that makes me giddy with excitement, because they're the kind of companies that I guess can best be impacted by our efforts to scale them, support them, and grow them and connect them. I think also, very briefly, I think obviously the team is incredibly important. It's an old cliche, but having the right people in the right positions, talking the right talk and articulating clearly what they're doing and their plans, their ambitions, that clarity and that team um, talent and depth of experience is also pretty key. Because at the end of the day, as an investor, we're investing in the people, not necessarily the company or the technology, or that's where it goes to. But it's in their potential to execute on a strategy or a vision that will lead to success. So there are some of the key things that certainly make me very excited when I come across applications. And we've received, I don't know, thousands of applications for our programs over the last 8 years. So we've lots of different types of insights in terms of what a good application should look like. And those two or three things certainly for me would be key.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Wayne. Maybe one final question, if anyone else has have them in the chat. Um, just get them in now because we're going to wrap up soon. So maybe one final question for you, Blaine, is so this is called the Maine Blue Biotech Studio, but this is open to global applications. So just want to confirm that we can take applications from globally, and Maine is excited by not just Maine-based companies. You're like excited about global. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dylan. Happy to do that. Yeah, so I'm really excited about the opportunities that Maine can offer for accelerating blue biotech, but this studio is open to teams from anywhere. And you don't have to be using Maine resources at all to be a company that's working in blue biotech. You just get the advantage of coming to Maine and being in a beautiful place and learning from investors. And then you can, leave after that. But for teams that actually want to take advantage of the marine resources that Maine has to offer, and the connectivity to the biotech corridor in New England, we're happy to facilitate that and introduce you to the key players in the ecosystem. So maybe you're looking to innovate with fisheries waste. We're happy to connect you to the people who have that asset, and would look to connect with you. Maybe you want to innovate with algae. We can connect you directly to people who know how to grow it. Maybe you want to innovate with seaweeds that grow in Maine. We can connect you with the people that harvest or are growing or want to scale their growing. Um, so Again, it's not a requirement that a team has any connectivity to Maine, and you're just coming to a random place to get this experiential training from really experienced investors. But if you would like to take advantage of it, this is really an opportunity to capitalize on that and be part of really the exponential phase of growth of blue biotech in the New England area that unites all these things together. So hopefully that answers the question, Dylan.
Mhm. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Beth. Um, I think we'll wrap it there. Any closing thoughts, Wayne or Beth? I'll say my last piece is, as Wayne said earlier, applications close on January 23rd. I left my email in the chat if anyone wants to contact me directly and have specific questions about the program. We're here. I will finalize by saying I think this is genuinely a super opportunity for companies to get tapped into this region, and also this network. So yeah, I'll close on that. Wayne, Beth, anything else before we wrap this up?
Go ahead, Beth.
Um, I'll just say again a reminder that we created that Blue Biotech ecosystem report to kind of explain why Maine and what Maine is doing. So if you have any questions about that, please have a look at that report that was in the chat. And if you, again, have any questions about the technical expertise that we can offer and the connectivity to the kind of technical ecosystem and the resource ecosystem, I'm happy to answer any questions. And really looking forward to seeing your applications.
Maybe just finally, certainly in terms of opportunity, I think this program, for those of you who are sitting on the fence, perhaps, if you really want to tap into, for what we've seen in terms of our engagement with the main ecosystem and the partners and the players there, they are super ambitious about building an amazing ecosystem and positioning Blue Biotechnology as a significant industry for that region. As partners and players in this, we are right now gathering a whole host of inputs, experts, people who can understand where you are in your business and can add that value. Because we understand it's 2 weeks, 10 days of your time. You want to be walking out of that with some value for your valuable time. And right now, as startup scale-ups, time is your most valuable asset. And we understand that. We appreciate it. And certainly on the Hatch Blue side, we've got years of experience of understanding what it takes to scale an aquaculture or a biotechnology company, and we've made investments to follow on. And in our partners like Bigelow, they've got significant technical expertise, and marrying that commercial acumen with the technical expertise, I think, is going to be, as I said earlier, a very fertile ground for you, your business, and your future success to be seeded and supported by people who are very dedicated to bringing change and innovation to this sector. So very excited to see who U10 will be.
Perfect way to finish. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for the great questions. Hope to see you all in Maine. Thank you, Beth and Wayne.
Great. See you all soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.